kind of like a mini retreat stuck in the middle of the year. And allow yourself to experience this process. Go to the Holy Thursday Mass and we'll remember the Last Supper there. We'll relive the Last Supper of Holy Thursday. And you're going to freaking eat God. Like, this is a big deal. We do it every day. We can get really in the habit of like, oh, this is nice. Like, we'll get a little, like, I'm hungry. Good thing we get to go to communion again. I'm kind of cut the edge until like 10 minutes later when I can eat my dinner. No, like, it's huge. It's everything necessary for everything is in that host. All the power that created the universe is there with us, and we eat it. We don't like to spend time with it, but we eat it. It's really cool. Then on Good Friday, we die. It's going to be depressing. It's going to be sad. There's not going to be great music. Maybe. We're going to focus on Christ, the way of the cross. We're not going to have Mass. It's the only day of the liturgical year where you're not allowed to celebrate Mass. It's Good Friday. Then the Easter Vigil, during the Gloria, all the lights come on and all the decorations in the church come out. And it's like the loudest Gloria ever. And then we approach, the sacraments, where people that we know and love will be brought into the church and baptized. We're going to get to live this mystery next week if we allow ourselves to. But through it all, remember what's most important, what's primary, isn't that we love God, but that He's loved us first. He has loved us first. And we need to let ourselves be loved. If we don't let ourselves be loved, we have nothing. And when you know the Father wants you to do it, then you can be bold. We can work some miracles. That'd be pretty cool. More people would come if we were like, one of you went up to doing the union and healed his foot. And then you're like, come to Veritas. That's your job, actually. How did you? Cool. Does anybody have any questions? Thanks for paying attention. Oh, yeah, what else?
I don't know how it relates to this. So you know how you're you can never get into God, which I understand. But how and when did it happen that people get the virus that
The stigmata. Right, there's a few recorded cases in the history of the church where people received kind of special graces to imitate Christ. Two people who were canonized to receive the stigmata were St. Francis of Assisi. The guy that you see, and he's with a deer, and he has a bird, and he's all rosy cheeks. Yeah. St. Francis had the stigmata, but he bore the wounds of Christ for years. And he suffered greatly. We should show St. Francis his hands out so we can see his stigmata. The deer can. The stigmata, it's bearing the wounds of Christ. So even though you're not Christ physically, you never will be. If you become, if God chooses you, then you will bear the wounds of Christ. The wounds of the crucifixion is the pure body. And you'll feel it. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? And Padre Pio, he was a saint in Italy. He died in the middle of the 20th century. For, I think, 40 years, he had the stigmata. And they always showed Padre Pio with his hands wrapped because he was embarrassed by him. He didn't like people to know that he had them. But that's it's a special grace that people have in order to participate in the suffering of Christ. They get the gift of having a constant reminder that they're dying because of the pain. But they also win grace. They win, souls for God in abundance. And Padre Pio did amazing things in his life. In a fallen world, the imposition of life always brings suffering with it. In a fallen world, if new life comes in the world, it always has suffering along with it, right? You beautiful women, hopefully, by God's grace, I pray you will all be mothers someday. And that motherhood will bring suffering into your life. Your body is going to be torn up. You're going to push a 7-pound thing out of you. It's going to hurt. Jesus, right? The imposition of life in a fallen world brings suffering. Us men, we're going to sweat by the labor of our brows, right? So, it's never going to be hard to get by, You're going going to have to make money. You're not just going to be able to quit working. And in the same sense, we're going to continue to suffer, not because God just wants us to hurt and feel bad. Christ didn't come to take away sufferings, but he came to give meaning to the sufferings that we have. So horrible things maybe have happened to you in your life. Those aren't just going to all magically be better. But in God's providence and in God's grace, if you let him, he's going to use those things to bring grace into the world. Okay, I have a semi-messed up past. And because I have that past, it's changed who I am. And by allowing God to love me in those places, that changes how I can minister. That helps me relate to people in a different way. Right? And God wants that for all of us. So God's not going to take your sufferings away. He's going to give meaning to those sufferings. More questions? Thanks for listening.
So many doors of possible usefulness and not treating the person as a person of them. This one's pretty obvious, but it's important to know. No sex. No sex. No touching of the genitals or other sexually charged spots. You guys may be really close, but you guys should not be doing any of this stuff if you're dating. Even if you're engaged, you shouldn't be doing that stuff. You shouldn't do any of this until you're married. And here's kind of a guideline to help keep you guys kind of more tangible than what I've said, because there's a lot of gray areas, is if you're approaching that heightened point of arousal, you need to stop. You need to stop. If you're getting